And this Bhadra month is very, very important. So it's a full moon, right? Tomorrow, is that correct? It's a full moon. So it describes in the Bhagavatam about how you can get great benefit by giving this Bhagavatam to someone as a gift, and also exalting the Bhagavatam on a golden throne and showing great respect. Just like here we see the Bhagavatam, full set. Srimad Bhagavatam is there. And we can say it's just some nice books, beautiful paintings, but if we hear about the significance of the Bhagavatam, it might help us understand more of the importance of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And as we're hearing especially about the benefits, we have choices. And choices are, at least in my understanding, limited understanding, the benefits of doing something and the benefits of doing something. It's kind of redundant, right? So I can do something for a benefit for me, or I can do something that benefits others. It's all part of our Krishna consciousness process. Srila Prabhupada's coming from India was to benefit others, not to benefit himself. Because at the age of 70, and with no means and no financial support, no moral support, nothing, why would someone do that? It was not for his personal edification, not for financial reasons, especially not for health reasons. He didn't come to America to improve his health, because his health declined by traveling so much. But he came with a mission of giving Krishna consciousness to others and accepting whatever the hardships were. How did he come to that conclusion? So it describes before Prabhupada took sannyas in 1940-something, 46, 47. Although his nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. And then Srila Prabhupada comments on that. In the two previous slokas, it has been definitely proved that the Srimad Bhagavatam is a sublime literature which surpasses all other Vedic scriptures due to its transcendental qualities. It is transcendental to all mundane activities and mundane knowledge. In this sloka, it is stated that Srimad Bhagavatam is not only a superior literature, but it is the ripened fruit of all Vedic literatures. In other words, it is the cream of all Vedic knowledge. Considering all this, patient and submissive hearing is definitely essential. Just as Dronacharya was saying in the beginning that, give your attention, try to hear. Every devotee who speaks may not speak on the same platform, same level, because our realizations are all different. How is that? Because Dadadi Buddhi Yoga, Krishna gives the understanding from your heart. Te sam satajiptanam bhajitanam. That means serving with love. That's the criteria for receiving understanding from Krishna, and to the degree that you will receive understanding from Krishna, based on service. It's really important. Also in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the second chapter of the first canto, verse 18, Nasta Prayasa Bhadresu, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Bhagavata Tamastoke, Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious in the heart becomes destroyed, and loving service is established. So the Bhagavatam is meant to be served. How do we serve the Bhagavatam? Just by carrying it around?
By reading it.
Thank you. By reading it. And reading it means also hearing. So we're reading and we're hearing. We're using the tongue and we're using the ear. And we're hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam with faith, devotion, and attention. It's not enough just to read. Reading's good, and you'll get some benefit. But when you give full attention and try to go into the understanding of the Bhagavatam by the grace of the Lord, it's so much more relishable, which is the term used here. Relish, O thoughtful men and women. Relish Srimad Bhagavatam. It is not a burden, to attend the Bhagavatam class, to hear different speakers, because as I said, you hear different speakers, you hear different levels of realization. And sometimes you say, that was a good class. Well, that class is okay. But be careful with that, because in every class you hear something. Even one small thing could change your life. One small realization from any devotee, like this young devotee here just said something very powerful. What did you say? To read the Bhagavatam. That's an instruction we should all follow. And all this information, all this knowledge becomes realized for the devotees who relish the Srimad Bhagavatam, who serve the Srimad Bhagavatam, regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, regularly reading Bhagavatam. But in order to read the Bhagavatam, of course nowadays, it's a little easier. You can go on the internet, you can go to database, and you can pull up the Bhagavatam just like that. It's amazing. So many different websites, the whole Bhagavatam is there. But there's something special about having these books in your home. It's very special. Like sometimes when I'm at my home and I'm looking on my bookshelf and I see those Bhagavatams, they just pull you in. You just want to pick them up and look and read and see beautiful paintings and then you meditate on how much sacrifice Srila Prabhupada made in order to bring these Bhagavatams to the world. When he came to America, he had 3 volumes of the Srimad Bhagavatam. I actually have one of those original Bhagavatams at home. It's very dark red color. And the English is not what Prabhupada wanted. He wanted the English to be a little better. He said, English is not my first language. So there will be many mistakes. So when you read that first volume, it's like the English is a little broken, but it's so sweet because it's Prabhupada's heart. And he was the person doing the writing. He was the person doing the editing, and going back and forth to get the book printed in Delhi, and having heat strokes trying to get the work done. What is that work? To bring the Bhagavatam to the world as it had not been presented before, to the Western world especially. Many acharyas have worked on the Bhagavatam, and given so many beautiful descriptions, but no one had brought it out from India in the way that Srila Prabhupada did. And he was waiting, he was preparing to come by deep study, deep meditation, and to present the Srimad Bhagavatam in the way that we have it now. So here it is, the entire Bhagavatam. It's incredible. And I highly recommend that if you don't have it in your home, think about getting the Bhagavatam for your home. It's very, very important. Just by having it in your home, there's purification there alone. But what to speak of reading and hearing and then coming to the stage of relishing. What does that mean, relishing? That means I have so many things. Yes, go ahead. What is that? Mommy, help her out. I didn't quite hear.
Relishing means enjoying something.
Enjoying something. Very nice. So we're enjoying the Bhagavatam, but not enjoying the Bhagavatam. We're not trying to enjoy for material purposes, spiritual purposes. Because when you relish, it resonates with you, the spirit soul. It may be not so comfortable for your body. Just like reading is not that easy sometimes. You have to sit, like right now I'm trying to see this little screen, and it's not that easy, and some problems involved in it. But I'm not trying to please my body by hearing the Bhagavatam. I'm trying to connect, with who I am as a spirit soul with Krishna. And by hearing the Bhagavatam, I'm connecting with Krishna. It's very powerful. So again, relish the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the last part of this purport, he says, considering all this, patient and submissive. Now, submissive is a very difficult word for most people now. People are not very submissive. They really hesitate to surrender themselves to anyone else. Anyone else's understanding, anyone else's instruction. I'm a self-made man, a self-made woman. Sure. Until the time of death, all your self-made goes out the window. Then you realize I'm nothing. I'm by the mercy of the Lord, I exist. So, submissive hearing. What does that mean? Submissive hearing. Surrendering my hearing. We know what hearing is. We use it all the time. We use it every day, all day. Especially if you've been in the academic world. You have to hear. And you're not the professor, so you have to submissively hear from the professor. Sometimes you don't like him, right? You don't like the teacher. I'm not saying don't like your teacher, but sometimes you don't like him. I wish they would stop. But you have to, in order to learn, you have to be submissive. Submit yourself to the information coming in. So the Bhagavatam, we don't want to read it challenging the Bhagavatam. I've gotten some questions recently from some devotees regarding certain statements in the Bhagavatam. And I said, first be careful. Do not try to challenge the Bhagavatam. Don't try to correct the Bhagavatam. Who are you, or first of all, to correct the Bhagavatam? We would not even know about the Bhagavatam without Srila Prabhupada, number one. So for us to question certain things that are in there, be careful. But in order to clarify for understanding, that's fine. It says, in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4:34, Tadvidi pranipatena pariprasnena seviya upateshantite jnana. Just try to learn the truth by approaching the spiritual master. Inquire submissively and render service. So that's important. Submissive inquiry and service. Because that submissive inquiry with service will have the greatest result. So submissively, this is Prabhupada saying, patient. What is patient? I know the fathers, especially the mothers, know what patience is, especially raising children, right? Oh, you're the child, so she knows better than you. So you have to be patient with your children. What inspires that patience? Because you know the end game. If my child does like this, eventually they'll be like that. But they need to go through this time frame of being, a small child and growing up, and there's different stages in the mind, changes and all that. But the parents are patient because they know what they would like to see at the end. I have one granddaughter, she's 4 years old, and my son has such difficulty trying to control her, and I said, don't try to control her. She's demonstrating her intelligence and whatever. I said, be patient. I said, you know why? Because I was patient with you. Now he's 50 years old, so he can't even relate. You mean I was that rough? I said, yes, even worse. But we were patient with you. So when you're reading the Bhagavatam and you're not getting what you want immediately, be patient. Because it's also important to render service. You make inquiries, you ask questions, but you render service. Find some way to serve. And then the Bhagavatam comes to life. You can read it, that's very important. But when you add service to that equation, the Bhagavatam comes to life. Why? Because Krishna's in the heart. Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 2nd chapter, verse 17. What is that? Srimata Sokata Krishna, Punya Shravana, Kirtana, Ridyantasto Yubhadrani, Vidunoti Sivasatam. When the Lord sees that you have developed the urge to hear his messages, he cleanses the heart. Ridyantasto Yubhadrani. He cleanses the heart. He does. But he has to see that you've developed the urge to hear his messages. And how do you get that urge? That's a logical question. By rendering service to devotees who are free from all vice, like Srila Prabhupada. You may say, oh, Prabhupada has passed away, how can I serve him? Wait a minute. He reasons ill who say that Vaishnavas die. Prabhupada is not gone. He said of the two things, Vani and Vapu. Vani means the message. Vapu means the form. We were fortunate. Some of us fortunate to see Srila Prabhupada. I sent a picture this morning of Prabhupada in Philadelphia in 1975, sitting on the front porch of the old temple. Big group of devotees, and devotees were on the top and on the bottom, and I'm in there somewhere, but everywhere devotees, and Prabhupada's sitting there, It was just, when I think about it, it brings just memories of us coming back, So Srila Prabhupada, in being here, gave us such a merciful situation. So when we think of serving Srila Prabhupada, I was fortunate, Vishnu Prabhu, some of us were fortunate. I know when we came to Rath Yatra from Atlanta, we got here late. Devotees had already gone to the airport, so we didn't get a chance to go to the airport to greet Prabhupada. But Rabindra Sarup said, oh, Haribo, welcome. You're from where? Atlanta? Great. Would you like to clean Prabhupada's room? Yes. So we were fortunate. We had the service of cleaning Prabhupada's room before he arrived. And when Prabhupada arrived at the old temple on Woodlawn Street, was it Woodlawn Street? There was only the Atlanta devotees and Bhakta Howard, who is Haryasya now, and a few other devotees to receive Prabhupada. And I think that's very significant. We didn't get a chance to go to the airport, but we were the only ones there to receive him. It was so beautiful. So by that service, that was physical service. But how do we continue to serve Prabhupada? He's not physically here. How do you serve him?
By reading his books.
Reading his books and distributing his books. Yes. Speak a little louder.
I was about to say the same thing.
Translation.
No, she was going to say the same thing.
Oh, same thing. So reading his books and sharing his books with people who are needing it. The people of the world. like all of us, need Srila Prabhupada's books. That's the motivation. What is the motivation? Like sometimes in a temple we have to think in ways to raise money and all this fundraising and all that to keep the temple going. But is that the motivation when we distribute books? No.
No.
Motivation is that people are suffering. And this knowledge can relieve people of suffering. Whenever I distribute books, in fact, there's a devotee in Atlanta, one Mataji, and she goes up to people and says, would you like to have some relief from stress? I have a video of her talking to a policeman, and she's telling the policeman, would you like to have relief from stress? And the cop is going, yeah. And he gave her $20 and took the book. It was so amazing. So these books, Srimad Bhagavatam, has all the information we need. It just said it's the cream of all Vedic literatures. How many Vedic literatures are there? Unbelievable. How many? I remember years ago someone described it as, it's like it could fill up a warehouse. So when I was in Delhi one time, I went to this famous bookstore, Motilal Banarsi, and I bought one Sanskrit dictionary, Grida Dhanaraj recommended, so I went there. Huge warehouse full of Vedic literature, so many. The cream, Srimad Bhagavatam. I could spend my life reading all those books, but Srimad Bhagavatam contains more. Everything is there. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, submissive hearing is definitely essential. Essential. Breathing is essential. Eating is essential. Sleeping is essential. Working is essential. But how much preference do we give the Bhagavatam when Prabhupada is saying it's essential? We should put it way above breathing. Right? We all know how important that is, and eating. So Bhagavatam should be as important and even more important. But we can understand it in reference to how we have so many things that are essential in our lives. So why not put the Bhagavatam as an essential part of our day? Begin your day with the Bhagavatam. I'm sure most of you do. Begin your day with the Bhagavatam. And another thing I would recommend is that find some time, if you can, every day, if you can, to hear Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavatam classes. They're available on, what is it called? Prabhupadvani.org. And I listen every day to Prabhupada's lectures. Beautiful, powerful lectures. So then he says, one should receive the message and lessons imparted by Srimad Bhagavatam. Then same chapter, chapter 3, text 43, first canto. Krishne sudhamo pavate dharma jnanadi saha kulo nashta drishamesha ranarpo loditaha. This Bhagavad Puran is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. So the example of this is all of us, and specifically the original disciples of Srila Prabhupada from the 60s until he passed away, that a lot of us came from various backgrounds, some of them not so, you don't talk about it much in public. Not everyone came from being a college student or professors and all that. Most of the devotees came from different backgrounds. But somehow, the dense darkness of our life and the ignorance that we were under, it was lifted. I know for me personally, I don't know how it happened. I met a devotee. I was in a state of materialism, being a musician and all that goes with that, totally absorbed in that society and culture. And all of a sudden, a shift happened within one day. I met a devotee, he enlightened me on something, boom, everything changed. I'm not exaggerating. From that day forward, it just kept changing every day. More enlightenment, because I started reading Bhagavad Gita. I started associating with devotees, started hearing, and they kept showing me things beyond my experience. Greater things than I could even imagine. It's just the idea of the spiritual world became clear, whereas before it was cloudy. As a child, I used to ask this question of all people: where did God come from? No one could answer. When they would say heaven, I said, wait a minute, the Bible doesn't say that. Bible says he created heaven. First page of the Bible, he created heaven. I said, wait, if he created heaven, was he homeless before? Where did he come from? And nobody could answer. Until I came in contact with Srila Prabhupada. And then he explained about Vaikuntha. I mean, do you all remember the first time you heard about Vaikuntha, the spiritual sky? And what the devotees do there? And all these amazing things, like we have Chintamani, Prakara Sadhvasu, Kopa Vriksha trees, Chintamani. It's just amazing. So my eyes were opened. That's called, in one sloka we chant, Om Ajnana Tiryandasya Jananjana Savakaya Chakshur Militamina Tasma Shri. The spiritual master opened my eyes, which were closed in the dense darkness of ignorance, like the sun. So the Bhagavatam is like the sun. When it's dark outside, sometimes we're fearful because we can't see what's behind the corner. We're afraid. What removes that fear? Sunlight. Then you see, oh, everything is like this, like this, like that. For me especially, because I don't like too many animals and things crawling in the bushes. So when it's dark, I'm not into that. But when the sun comes up, and especially I look out my backyard, it's a big, big area by a little creek. I feel more comfortable to go because the sun is there. So now in life, I'm less fearful to maneuver around in this world. Less fearful. Why? Because of the Bhagavatam. It has opened my eyes to reality. We know death is inevitable. We know that. We don't like to accept it, but it's a reality. And the Bhagavatam teaches us how to deal with that. How Prabhupada describes it as becoming deathless through the Bhagavatam. We'll no longer have to see the cycle of birth and death and be subjected to that through the Bhagavatam. So that is saying, in this dense darkness of ignorance, sometimes we don't recognize that we're in ignorance. Sometimes we think it's okay. Everything is fine. That's when the ignorance is really taking over our life. We start to forget the impending danger of death and old age and disease, all those things. It's like now we're somewhat aware of these things with the COVID problem and all these things happening in the world. So it reminds us, and if you see anything on the media, they tell you it's like a blow by blow. 10,000 people died here, 2,000 people a day, this, that. It's very depressing, but it's reality. So within this darkness of ignorance, the Bhagavatam has come and giving us light. So when you study the Bhagavatam submissively, you will get a relief from the misunderstandings of life. You will be able to see life in its real true nature. And the real pleasure, the real bliss, as we said, relishing the Bhagavatam, it will gradually replace the temporary, insignificant material enjoyments that we're so accustomed to. Whatever they might be, they're different for different people. But they all become insignificant compared to the simple act of reading the Bhagavatam. Can you imagine that? All these things we're attached to. And all of a sudden one day, we'd rather read the Bhagavatam. That's what we're striving for. Just to hear the glories of the Lord. But of course we don't have these golden thrones. So we have our nice throne here that Dave Tucker and his family put together. Beautiful, nice arrangement of Srimad Bhagavatam. I remember years ago, of course, as I said in the beginning, we didn't know much about Bhadra Purnima when I joined in 1973, but I remember distinctly one day on Sankirtan at a shopping mall, and it was Gaur Purnima, I believe. So my senior godbrother, he told us if you could distribute the Bhagavatam on the full moon day, you could go back home, back to God. It was very special. And I remember that day till now, how we were distributing Srimad Bhagavatam, the full moon, very powerful. So here is saying, if on the full moon day, which is tomorrow, in the month of Bhadra, one places Srimad Bhagavatam on a golden throne and gives it as a gift, he will attain the supreme transcendental destination. So that's a great benefit, attaining the supreme destination. And that inspires a lot of people. Wow, I can just purchase a set of Bhagavatams, put it on a throne, give it to someone, have my ticket back to Godhead. But then the question may come up, wait a minute, okay, I'm going to buy this set of Bhagavatams, and I'll put it on some kind of throne, and I'll give it to someone. That means I don't have to chant my job anymore. I don't have to go to class anymore, because I'm going back to Godhead, right? I bought my ticket, I'm out of here, going back to Godhead. Is that the case?
No.
No. I mean, it's a great benefit, absolutely, but it's not the only benefit. And that inspires people. Yes, let me get some benefit from the Bhagavatam. But even as important, if not more important, is making the Bhagavatam available for others, because it can help people in their lives. That's the real motivation. If I can somehow share the Bhagavatam. I remember last year I gave a set of Bhagavatams to Ram Roy, that's his name in New York, Ram Roy. And I asked him, I said, do you have Bhagavatams for your program? He said, no, I don't really have. So I sent him a set of Bhagavatams, to encourage him in his preaching. So there are many ways that you can give the Srimad Bhagavatam to others and share Srimad Bhagavatam with others. But first, understanding the importance of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So in that same section, the last few verses of the Bhagavatam is also important to hear. Rajante tava anhi, this is verse number 14. Purana ni satam gane, yavat bhagavatam naiva, shruyate mrita sangara. All other Puranic scriptures shine forth in the assembly of saintly devotees only as long as that great ocean of nectar, Srimad Bhagavatam, is not heard. And I had to read this several times to see what it really meant. So these other scriptures only shine if the Bhagavatam's not there. They're only important if the Bhagavatam's not there. Once the Bhagavatam is there, none of these things are important. The most important thing is Srimad Bhagavatam. Then text 15. Sarva Vedanta Saram Hi Shri Bhagavatam Ishyate Tad Rasamrita Triptasya Nanyatra Syadrati Vachit. Srimad Bhagavatam is declared to be the essence of all Vedanta philosophy. One who has felt satisfaction from his nectarian mellow will never be attracted to any other literature. And then 16, 17. Nimna, and these are the last verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam from the 12th canto, very last few verses. Nimna ganam yata ganga, devanam achuto yata, vaishnavanam yata shambhu, you know that word. Purananam idam tata. Just as the Ganga is the greatest of all rivers, Lord Achyuta, the supreme among deities, and Lord Shambhu, Shiva, the greatest of Vaishnavas. So, Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest of all Puranas. And then the last one, actually, text 17, Kshetranam Chaiva Sarvesham Yata Kashi Yanutama Tata Purana Ratanam Srimad Bhagavatam Dvijam. O Brahmanas, in the same way that the city of Kashi is unexcelled among holy places, Srimad Bhagavatam is supreme among all the Puranas. This is the last one. Text 18. And the Sanskrit is quite long and it's hard to read, so I'll just do the English. Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless Purana. It is most dear to the Vaishnavas because it describes the pure and supreme knowledge of the Paramahamsas. This Bhagavatam reveals the means for becoming free from all material work, together with the processes of transcendental knowledge, renunciation, and devotion. Anyone who seriously tries to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, who properly hears and chants it with devotion, becomes completely liberated. So that is the idea of the blessings of the Srimad Bhagavatam and why we should desire to have them. And realizing how much blessing is there, we should desire for others to have the Srimad Bhagavatam, to bless them. So again, tomorrow is this Bhadra Purnima, where devotees all over the world are focusing on bringing the Bhagavatam into the homes of many, many people. I believe the entire goal for the world is 40,000 sets. Something like 40,000 sets of Bhagavatams. And here in Philadelphia, the devotees have made a plan or pledge to distribute 40 sets of Srimad Bhagavatams in this community. And many of you have already taken advantage of that. When Daniel talked to Prabhu mentioned it to me in the beginning, I said, immediately, I'll take one set. Absolutely, it's a wonderful opportunity. So I purchased one set, I have them in my house, I'm getting ready to share with some devotees. So he called me this morning and he said that we have a few more that we need to try and get sponsored based on our goal. Our goal is 40 sets. So he called me, he wrote to me this morning, he said we need 7 more sets. There he is. Huh? Oh, don't steal the thunder, I'm telling the story. So he told me that we needed 7. So what I told him was this, I said, okay, I will sponsor number 40, another set, if you find the other 6 devotees to do the balance. So then he wrote me back, he said, Prabhu, we only need 6. Now he's just telling me we only need 5. So devotees are coming forward. Number 1, to help us achieve our goal, which we pledged to Srila Prabhupada's mission. And number 2 and 3, number 2 being have the Bhagavatams yourself, so you can put them on the golden throne. And number 3 means find someone to give the Bhagavatams to. One time, a few months ago, a month and a half ago, we were doing a program at this very famous Indian mall in Atlanta. It's called Globe Mall. So I was doing a program at this nice place, and we set up a set of Bhagavatams. And I had not planned to bring the Bhagavatams with me. So one Mataji who goes out with me, Mother Gita, she said, Balbhadra, please bring a set of Bhagavatams to the program. So I set them up outside, and we did kirtan and a nice program. And at the very end, as we were packing up, one family walked up and said, what is that? And they bought a set of Bhagavatams. It was so nice. So what we hope tonight is that we can finish our pledge. And Daniel Talker said we only need 5 more sets of Bhagavatams to be sponsored. And that's the set here. And I still say if we can find 4 more, I'll do number 40. And if we get more than 40, I'll do 44, 43, whatever the number is going to be. So I'll leave it to Daniel Talker and Dronacharya.
We have seen good participation, I would say, very good participation in Bhadra Purnima so far. And we are very close to the finish line. We have seen all the Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada disciples either taking a set or sponsoring a set.
Haribo!
And right from His Grace Balbhadra Prabhu, His Grace Chaitanya Jivan Prabhu, Devi Deva Prabhu, Vamandev Prabhu, Sangeeta Mataji, and I could be missing out if you know, His Grace Vishnu Dada Prabhu. So everyone has really helped in this. So now it's all up to us to really make Philadelphia cross the finish line. The total goal that ISKCON has pledged worldwide is 25,000 sets.
Wow.
And Philadelphia's goal is only 40. So it's not that we are aiming for the moon. It's reasonable considering that we have a very good congregation who have always come forward whenever there has been a an event like this. And as I said, I was forgetting some devotees of His Grace. Kevala Prabhu and Gupshi Mataji have also taken one set. So everyone among Srila Prabhupada's disciples have really helped in a big way. So if someone is interested, as we said, we are still waiting for 5 sets. 5 sets are not a lot, and we still have time. Tomorrow there is a Yagya at Navisharanya at 10 o'clock our time, which will be broadcast on YouTube, where all the devotees and their families who have participated in the Bhadra Purnima event, their names will be offered for blessings. So still there is time. The other wonderful feature about the Bhadra Purnima is if you know people in India, your family or friends who would like to give a set. So the BBT North America has worked with BBT India that the sets will be arranged without any, without us getting involved. We just have to fill out a form and it will be sent to BBT India, and the sets will be delivered in any language in that country, and the cost of that is only $150. So many devotees are also taking advantage of this, so there is still time. Think about someone who you think is pious, spiritual, and who would benefit from Srimad Bhagavatam. And you can let that person, and you can give the Srimad Bhagavatam to their family or friends. So, last but not least, I would also like to read out the names of the participants in the Bhadra Purnima so that at least we all can acknowledge their support for this event. And this is not in any particular order, so I will just call that as a caveat. So starting with Prashant Akula and family, Rajesh Shashagiri and family, His Grace Balbhadra Prabhu, Vishamba Varanga Prabhu and his family, Kedarnath and Uma Shashi Rustagi, Bhakta Rasiksham and Jan Natai, Nija Rustagi Sudhir and Anisha Rustagi, Devi Deva Prabhu, Himani Mataji, Bhakta Charles, Amrita Prabhu, Shamaguri Mataji, Rajesh Govind Prabhu, Anika, Anish and Sita Devi Mataji, Harihashwa Prabhu, Brahmacharya Prabhu, Nisha Dhir, Balram Dhir, Ankit Dhir, Deepak Dhir and Gautam Dhir, Dr. Neena and Vishal Bajoria Prabhus, Vamandev Prabhu and Sangeeta Devi Mataji, Sheshapati Govind Prabhu, Sri Radhe Shabuni Mataji, Sahishnu and Harini, Vishnu Gada Prabhu, Chaitanya Jivan Prabhu, Kevalya Prabhu and Vikupshi Mataji. In addition, Shobharade Mataji, Venkat Prabhu and Vindhyavali Mataji, Suman Sharma and family Mataji. So these are the devotees who have really helped in Bhadra Purnima this year in getting us so far. So there's still time. We will be outside. So myself, Dronacharya Prabhu. So if anyone is interested, please come forward so that we can cross that finish line strong. Thank you.
Very good.
You want to speak about Rath Yatra?
Yeah, please.
Rath Yatra?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you again, Interpreter Prabhu, especially thanks to His Grace Balbhadra Prabhu for an inspiring talk on the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, we have less than 1 week before Rath Yatra. It's the time when we need to all come together. It's actually a very exciting time, a very enthusiastic time. Some of the best times of our life, devotional life, we can reflect, actually come through festivals. And that's the power of these festivals. They leave such strong impressions on us. Rath Yatra is one of those festivals. And unlike most festivals where we have Janmashtami, we're here trying to decorate the temple for the pleasure of the deities. This is the one day of the year when the deity goes outside the temple to see everyone else. And such magic and such mercy is available on that particular day. Not only just for the public who doesn't even know about it, or some people know about it through social media and things like that, invitations are out there. My daughter was flipping through her phone last night, we were having dinner, and she says, wait a second, why did I just get an invitation on my Instagram account to come to Philadelphia Rath Yatra? And I said, that's because they're advertising on Instagram. She said, you mean you're doing paid advertisement for people to come to Rath Yatra? I said, absolutely. We invest a lot into this festival because we care. Because this really does mean a lot. It means a lot that we're putting this out there to the public, allowing people to come in contact with Krishna consciousness. Right now, the way things are set up, in fact, the chances that a person would come in, wander into the temple, the chances are there, and we see people that they come, but it's much less likely than the fact that we're out in a prominent place in the city having a large festival, offering free Krishna Prasadam, wonderful music, things that people can buy that can connect them to Krishna, the opportunity to meet nice devotees that can explain to them about Krishna consciousness. So we have this in front of us this next week, and we need everybody to come together. You would. So Thursday night after work, you can come, start helping us cut up, get ready. On Friday, late morning, all the way through until the evening. We're gonna have tables set up outside, tents, tables set up in the old temple room. We can come and cut up vegetables, help, then additionally make flower garlands. If you'd like to get involved in like setting up tents and the site and things like that, orchestrating, doing kind of some heavy lifting work outside, you can join me and Bhakta Andrew and Bhakta Nitesh and the Festival of India crew that comes on Friday to help set up the Festival of India site. You can go down right in front of the Art Museum steps, starting at around 12 o'clock on Friday. And then on Saturday itself, Rath Yatra Day itself, we need volunteers to help decorate the cart in the morning. We need volunteers to help serve out the prasad. If you're into book distribution, we need volunteers to man the book tables. And this is actually a wonderful way of greeting people and introducing them to Krishna consciousness. We need friendly people that want to welcome individuals into this great festival of Krishna consciousness. During the parade, we need volunteers. So all throughout, and then of course the cleanup in the evening. So if you have some energy, help cleaning up the site in the evening. Plenty of activity. And this is just the beginning and after. If you want to sign up, you can sign up at the table right outside. Mother Sita and Mother Dira, I believe, are out there. They have sign-up forms. They can tell you exactly the different time slots that are available. We also have some really nice Rath Yatra gear. Nice hats, nice t-shirts for the men and the ladies. Different. It's not one for the men. It's one type for the men, one type for the ladies. So they fit appropriately. So please check that out. So you can represent Rath Yatra as you walk through, go to the different things you do throughout the week.